Right, hi, welcome to the channel. My name's Pete. This series we're covering the Driffield to Selby railway line. We're going as far as Market Weighton, possibly a bit further. We'll see how we go when we get there. Last episode we ended up at SouthBurn railway station, and that's where we are today. We're going to set off here because there's still some more story to tell around this station here. That is where the station building was. Now there are some railway cottages which we got in the last episode. I'm hoping to gain access to that land because there are some photographs I need to try and match up. And I'm stood roughly where the crossing once was. I'll just match up a photograph of that. I'll turn the camera around. We'll get access to around where the cottages are or nearby, and then we'll continue down the line. But before we leave this station, there is quite a lot of military history to cover, so we'll crack on and get that done. Before we go marching down the track to where there is a set of points, I'll show that to you and also put a picture up of what those points used to look like. Those are the station cottages that you can see behind me. I don't need to go onto their property because the old station was there, and we can see it today because the woods are sparse. It's winter and that's why I've come back now. But I am stood roughly where there was a building, and I'll turn the camera around and I'll show you some bits. Right, so railway cottages, there used to be a goods shed somewhere around here, and roughly where I'm stood there was a building and a raised embankment and coal drops. That's a bit of a muddy path. That's where the station was. Now there is a photograph taken from around here where these buildings were, and we've got evidence of building around here. My brother's found some pieces. What have we got?
We've got some porcelain.
We've got pottery.
Might possibly a cup.
That looks like a bottle top there, is it? Oh
yeah. Yeah, perfume bottle possibly.
But we've also got coal. I don't know if you can see that there. Was the roof tile somewhere?
Yeah, I picked a roof tile up. I don't quite know what I've done with it.
And where was the ballast? Where did that go?
Yeah, I dropped it off.
But anyway, we found all evidence around here, which means we are where the building was once stood. We don't know what it was, but there was a photograph taken from around here. Now this station opened in 1890 and it closed to passengers in 1954, and it was completely closed in 1964. But this area of East Yorkshire where I am, if we go that way, we're only a couple of miles away from Driffield. Driffield had an airfield during World War I, World War II. If we go over that way, we are literally a couple of miles from Hutton Cranswick airfield, and there used to be something that ran down there, and when we walked back down the track down there to where the points were, I'll tell you what that was. But the reason I'm here now is because there was a photograph taken from roughly where I'm stood, a couple of photographs in 1951, and on Friday the 30th of November 1951 during the night, a Gloster Meteor Mark 7 aircraft. A Gloster Meteor was Britain's first jet powered aircraft. That was operational during World War II as well, but it was never allowed to fly over enemy territory, so it stayed at home because it was right near the end of the war at that point. Now this aircraft took off at Driffield on a night training mission, and whilst flying over SouthBurn, which is where we are, the aircraft began to lose height and stalled in a turn, and it dived into the ground. Now what's crazy about that is it hit the station, and there's a photograph. I'll put that up for you. I'll leave it up for a little bit so you can pause it, but you can work out the engine, the undercarriage and things like that. Now nobody on the ground, as far as anybody is aware, was injured, but it was a training mission, and Flight Lieutenant Peter Craig Buchanan and pilot officer John Eversley, he was a pupil pilot under instruction, were both killed in the impact, and that happened here. Now there is a lot of military history in this part of Yorkshire, and our next port of call is to go down to where the points were, where there is something absolutely amazing what we've discovered and we didn't know, and that's thanks to local knowledge. Before we actually continue with the railway line, you'll probably notice the background's changed. We have come up to the graves of the pilots of the Meteor that crashed. They are buried in Driffield Cemetery, so that's where we've come. So I'll turn the camera around and I'll show you their final resting place, and then we'll continue on with our line. So after discovering the Meteor crash and talking about that, a local gentleman has come out and he came out with a plan of a construction site where we're going to go next, down the railway line. But he also told me a story of a fella that used to live at a place around here called Tibthorpe, and they used to bring beets down in horse and cart to be loaded onto the railway to be sold at market. Now that was a long time ago that he heard that story from an old fella, and it was his father that passed that story down. So the next thing we're going to do is just have a quick look at the platform, get down to the railway lines, where the set points are. I'll tell you where we're going, and then once I've reached that destination I'll tell you all about that as well. I'm now on the track bed. This is where the crossing was. We've probably got original fence posts in there, to be quite honest with you, looking at the condition of it. This is where the signal box was, just about here, and the platform is through this way. After we've out looked at the station, we'll get on and we'll try and find any remains of this military railway. Now the last time we were here, it was really quite summery and everything was really overgrown. So hopefully you can see that I'm in a track bed. It's nice and level. And here's our platform edge. There we go. Now the station is roughly here. More platform edge there. And it would have been about here somewhere where the remains of that Meteor was. So what I need to do is get down there to where there was a spur that went off to the left, which I'll tell you about when we get there, and it also went straight on to Market Weighton. Now that's where the station was. This is the edge of the platform. This huge expanse here is where there were some points further down there that would have brought us off this way. So I will put a plan up of this area for you so you can see what it actually looked like and what was here. So there's your station cottages, and sort of in those woods up there, that's where a goods shed would have been, and off near where these modern sheds are, wooden sheds, there was another building that I'm uncertain what that was. I'm just looking around on the floor to see if we can find anything. This looks modern, aluminium. I can't imagine that anything to do with the railway. And then we're going to get down here and we're going to get to roughly where the points were. You may see in the background a couple of friends of mine I'm out with, one of my friends, one of my brothers. That hedge line will take you back to the station, and I'm roughly where some points were. which split the track into two. One straight off down there heading towards Market Weighton, and the other one heading into that wood. Now this spur isn't really marked on many maps, and you'll only find it if you look, and believe me, I've been looking, and I've found an aerial photograph of what that represents. But we're also going to go over there because that bridge is hidden, and unless you're local you won't know about it. And I actually bumped into somebody who is local and told us a little bit about that, and told us that bridge existed. So I'll turn the camera around. Again, that's our station that way. Straight on over to that edge line over there is towards Market Weighton, but Bainton will be our next station. I doubt you're going to be able to pick it up on camera, but there was a line that ran through there, through that wood, and into a field beyond there. Now we have to walk right round, we can't go across this farmer's field, and we will pick up at that bridge, and I'll tell you what that is all about when we get there. So we've managed to walk round. Our station is over in the wood area. This road was actually built by the military, and our bridge is up there, and I'll tell you why when we get up there. But there is an original military building standing just there. That's a private residence. I don't want to get into any filming of that, but what we have here, we've got a drain for the land, but this terrible concrete bridge, which probably wasn't built to last but is lasting, is definitely of military design. Now I'm wondering if our other bridge, what the railway crosses, is of the same design as this. So we'll get up to the railway bridge, and then we'll go and access some of the land over there, which I've been given permission to, and then we'll jump back on the line. Right, so I've made it. What you can see behind me there and there is a very little known bridge, and it's a military bridge. And I'll tell you what that is about, and I will turn the camera around so we can have a better look at it. Now our railway station, SouthBurn, is in those trees there. The line actually runs straight across here, straight through there, to the edge of this wood. Our points where we were stood are roughly where that last tree is, and it curved round here. This line was only in existence for 4 or 5 years, probably no more than 6. And we found this bridge, which supports all the evidence that we've got so far. And I will go into that a little bit more further down the line. Now this was built for the military, and I know that because I've done a lot of research into this, and I've found out as much as I possibly can. It's in pretty good shape. This would have been temporary, but they built it to withstand a lot of weight. Look at the thickness on there. I found this piece of metal here, obviously ancient. If anybody knows what that is, it's curved at that end, at the bottom, bent round, so it's got all them studs in still. Probably had a piece of wood in between there that's long since rotten. Now I'll tell you why this bridge was built, and that may give us an indication as to what that was. I think it was possibly off a goods wagon. That's my wild guess, but our line went straight across here, and I've had a look from here into this field. There is nothing remaining, but then there wouldn't be, because everything around here would have been non-operational pretty much by the end of the Second World War, and everyone was demobilised. They didn't need any weapons of war for Germany. And I have got some aerial pictures of this place and a map. Now I can't get through there, but that field was once a hive of activity for bombs for the airfields in East Yorkshire. There is nothing left remaining, I don't think, except for a pad down there, but I'm even not certain that that exists. But what I will do is, I've got permission to be here, so we'll walk back across the field, across the road, and then go to over there, and I'll tell you a little bit more about this place. Where we've just come from is the military bridge over there, and this is the field where it spurred off into two. That was the bomb storage area. And where you can see behind me there, that was turned into a chemical weapons storage area as well, and also destruction of chemical weapons were done there too. I don't know the exact dates of that, but I have got a map that I'm going to put up now, and it does say a date in the bottom corner in the 1940s, which clearly shows the railway spur up there. And I've also got an aerial photograph, of which I'll try and zoom around a little bit for you, so that you can see what this place actually looked like. Now there's a field over there, I'll turn the camera around. Got my shadow in there, but just to get our bearings, our railway bridge was there. This field here was our bomb storage. Over there was the chemical weapons storage, primarily mustard gas. And you'll see a building, a house. Just to the other side of there, that white spot you can see, all that there, that field, over that hedge, that was where all the mess was, the officers' mess, accommodation, and all supporting buildings and bunkers and things like that. Now, this is one of 6 sites during the Second World War in Yorkshire that were for main bomb storage. Mainly around here, because over there, like I said earlier, Driffield, not far away, Hunton Cranswick, not far away, Lisset, not far away, and a dozen other airfields, Beverley, many, many more in East Yorkshire. Quite literally dozens of them. So what we'll do now is, we'll join the railway line and we'll get down to Bainton. I found an old aerial photograph of RAF Driffield, and this happens to have the railway spur on it. We can see at the top there, RAF Driffield, and then moving down we can see SouthBurn railway station. From there we can see the railway spur to the military railway for the bomb dump, and if we look at where that's going, we can clearly see the bomb and chemical weapons storage that was there during World War II. And then shortly after that, this was all closed and the track was lifted. While we were in the area, we came across a gentleman who approached us, and he showed us this map. This is an actual original map of the bomb site before it was a chemical weapons storage area. We can clearly see the spur of the railway coming off into the main bomb area with a couple of sidings in there. To the right of that is the accommodation blocks and everything like that, and to the south is the future plans for the chemical weapons storage area. So now we'll go back on the line. Here we are back on the track bed. Our military railway bridge is down there over this drain, and I found a surprise right here. Over there is SouthBurn station. Those are the railway cottages. And now this is the track bed. This is a railway bridge. The parapet walls have gone on either side, and it's difficult to see from this side, so we now have to cross back over the railway bridge, which covers that drain. I did wonder if there was a bridge here or not, but there definitely is, and I can definitely get quite close to show you it. Now you might think that looks like a bit of a river, but I can assure you it is marked as a drain, but we have had a lot of water. This is our railway bridge crossing the drain. We've got our blue engineering bricks, our red engineering bricks, the same sort of archway, and it's, if you notice, is built on an angle like this, so it is a really wide bridge. Now this railway line was wide enough for 2 tracks. Now this is on what is now the passenger line and cargo line. There's that clump of wood is our railway station. My brother and my pal there. So them trees are where that bridge end is. This end is in really poor condition. You can see it has got a bit of a parapet wall still, but it's so overgrown, it's so difficult to get to. And there is our railway bridge. So the plan from here is now is to get back on the track bed, follow it along, which I think is down that way, and I'll switch the camera on because I believe there's an embankment up there, and if we're lucky we might even see some remains of some bridges or a bridge that did used to be there. So our railway line would cross this mud straight up through that edge there and on to Bainton railway station. We're not going to cross the field, we're going to go around the edge there and jump on the track bed. And I'll turn the camera on when we find something to show you. Quick correction, I said our line was going off that way. It actually goes off this way. This is the track bed line, but it does go onto an embankment. And I'll turn the camera on again when I either need to correct myself or we get onto something a bit more interesting to show you. Here we are, right? So our railway bridge is there. Our military bridge is down there. This field here was the bomb store, and we do have kind of like military type posts knocking around, or possibly even railway ones. They are really old, but I don't think that's related to the railway. But there's our track bed. Now I don't know if you can see what's going on from here, but that is an embankment. This is probably the highest embankment we've seen so far, because this is pretty flat, this line, in comparison to other railways, but we are on an incline as we go to Enthorpe station, which we will get to on a later episode, so make sure you hit like, share and subscribe. We'll get along this embankment and we'll see what we find. That's the way we've come from on the embankment. We're about 20 feet high here, down to the fields down there. It's absolutely cleared. There is nothing left other than it being an embankment. Next we're going up that way and we'll just keep going on. Still on the embankment here, and we have found something really quite special. It is probably the only piece of evidence that a track was operational here. Yeah, there's an embankment, but there's nothing else. There's no rails, no sleepers, and then we come across this. It's right in the hedge bottom. We would never have found it in summer. This is why you've got to come and do these in winter. I'll turn it around and I'll show you what we've got. And this is it. This is probably part of some signalling. I think this is the down line heading towards SouthBurn station. So we're not far from SouthBurn station, really. It may seem a long walk while you're doing these, but we're actually quite close if you're travelling at the rate of what a train does. Now this probably will have moved into that groove and slid, and then we've got a pulley arm here as well, which was found just down there. We've got the remains of what looks like a short fish plate, but then we've also got this. If anybody knows what this is off, whether it's a pulley arm off a signal, but look at that, BR/NR 1956. So this is the only solid evidence we've got that this was an operational track so far, and that's a long way out of Driffield now. We'll continue down the embankment and hopefully we'll find something else, but we'll just have to see as we go along. A little bit further down the line you can see the height of the embankment here. I hope it's about 20 feet. Normally there are telegraph poles following railway lines. Even if the railway lines have been removed, they still tend to use that track to redo them. There's none here. There is one over there, so they maybe realigned them, but what you have found down here is the remains of a telegraph pole. It's really old, really rotten. It looks like it's fallen down of its own accord. So who knows, maybe that was an original telegraph pole that followed this railway line. There's a bit more of it down here as well, just all completely rotten away. We'll continue on and see what else we can find. Now anybody who comes walking these old railway lines, you never know what you find. They're interesting. I recommend you go out and do it today. If you're not doing anything else, go out and do it. The embankment's almost finished for us, but we are approaching some of what we can see in the background. We found something quite interesting on the embankment. It's not railway related, but I'll just show you it. And here we are. Old abandoned trailers. Probably the farmer brought them down here, maybe not knowing what else to do with them. Who knows? All bits of junk up there. Long past its best. I suppose somebody with some mad skills could revitalise that. And then we go up here and we've got another trailer here. Experts in farm technology will be able to date these. Probably just by them wheels and tyres. There we go. Couple of abandoned trailers on the old embankment. Now where we're going is over there. There's a bridge. I'll zoom that in a little bit. But we're going to have to go around to get back onto there, to that bridge. And I know what bridge that is. There is an old photograph of that bridge with some people working around it, so I'll match that in as well when we get there. See you there. Just before we get to our railway bridge, that is the embankment there. Now, it does come to an end, where you can see it there. And the farmer has taken all that embankment away, probably to fill in a cutting, what would take you under the railway bridge. But all that embankment, the soil must have had to come from somewhere. And we found a bit of a quarry here just at the side of the track. So possibly this could have been the source for the material to build the embankment. We'll get to that bridge now. Made it to this railway bridge in an area called Bracken. There's a nameplate on this bridge. I'll show you and I'll tell you why it's got that nameplate on, or why I think it's got that nameplate on. People seem to think it's a mystery, but the area is called Bracken, so there you go. So I'll turn the camera around, I'll give you a bit of a bearing of where we are. This bridge is on an angle, and so far it is the largest structure, except for that embankment, that we've come across on this line. Getting our bearings, our embankment, where them trees are. We couldn't walk across the field, so we walked round. This is our railway bridge. Huge structure. We can get in at the other side, so we will get in and underneath it. It's still a used bridge. We've got our Department for Transport number down there. Market Weighton, Driffield 13. You can see it's still in good shape. It's had hardly any repair work done. It's had a bit done round the edge here and a bit on this pier here. So what I'll do is, before we go on top of that bridge, I'll get around the other side, and there is a photo of this bridge being worked on back in the day, so I'll take a photograph and match it up. But as you can see, it's been filled in because this was a cutting, and again this was a cutting all the way back to that embankment, but that embankment has been destroyed and probably used to fill in this area here. But we can get down there, so let's go around the other side. Now at the other side of the bridge, we can see at this side not much repair at all. It is very windy down there. I have got my dead cat on, so I do apologise if it is a bit windy. I'll try and shelter the mic as well, but it's in really good condition. And you can see just how much it's been filled in. Even that isn't the track bed there, so this must have been quite a deep cutting really. So maybe they used part of the quarry for the embankment up there, but also used the cutting to drag back for the embankment. And I believe that way's to Driffield, I know that, and I believe this cutting here is all filled in. I can see it is, I'll show you, but we do go on to another embankment a bit later on. But this is underneath the bridge. We've got holes in the wall here, And we do have corresponding holes in the wall at that side, just in there. If I look up, we have got soot all over the ceiling, and it's very windy down here. So the roof of that has still got the traces of the steam trains that used to come ploughing through here, no doubt at some speed, because this line is going down to Driffield, up to our highest point at Enthorpe railway station, which I'm looking forward to getting there. But as you can see, I've gone up there. There is no cutting left. We will to get some shots off the bridge. I'll point you back to Driffield, and I'll point you over towards Market Weighton. And there is a photograph taken somewhere from about there. So I'm just going to be naughty, and I'm just going to step into that field to try and match this photo up. Here I am on top of the bridge looking towards Driffield. That's our embankment. This is the embankment that's been torn away, and this is now the cutting that's been filled in underneath the bridge. It is a huge bridge. It's a humpback bridge. So if you came over here at speed in your car, you'd jump over. This is what it looks like from the top. It's in really good shape. We've got this nameplate here. This is a big mystery for everybody. Why does it say Brackenburg on it? Now it does look like somebody's been and cleaned that off, because at one time it was painted red, but that has all gone away. Well, I don't know why it says Berg, but this road is known as Bracken. And same with that way, Bracken. So that's where the Bracken comes from. I'm not sure about the Berg. Somebody's either put it on there to name this bridge for a laugh at some point. It's got lost to time. But there's our Department for Transport, Market Weighton, Driffield, Bridge 13. This was a cut-in. It has all been filled in. And our direction was where there's 1, 2 trees are over there, and that gap. And then we head over onto an embankment, I believe. And that's where we're going to pick up our line again. There you are, you can see the hump in that bridge from here, but down there, 1, 2 fence posts, bit laid on the floor, rotting away. Probably the only thing left around here except this giant, huge constructed bridge. Now we've come on from our bridge, which is there. All this would have been a cut-in, and I'm hoping you can see that you can barely see that bridge. You definitely can't see the bottom of it because it's all been filled in as a cut-in. And as we approach this area where I'm stood now, we've noticed an unnatural delve in the land. Now that translates into this. There. Yes, it's been filled in, but you can clearly see where the cut-in once was. Now we obviously can't walk across that field, otherwise we'll be damaging crops. We're not here to damage property or upset anybody or anything like that. But that cutting does turn into an embankment. We have to walk round on the public footpath to rejoin the track further on. Where I am now is really something quite special. I feel like we've been quite lucky to be able to access and see what we've seen so far. This is as far as we can get on the actual track bed. What you can see behind me is what would be an embankment. All gone, destroyed, farmer's field, no public footpaths, no access. But there's nothing to see. It is quite literally just a farmer's field. Beyond that is another farmer's field, no access. Quite literally it's growing crops. We can't access that. Nothing to see. Then after that is Bainton railway station, and that's where we'll pick the line up next. However, before I get there, I'll give you a little bit of bearing on where we are. Now the direction we're looking there is back towards Driffield. This would have been a slight raised embankment after the cut-in at the railway bridge, which is over there. Now I am on what is left, literally what is left of the embankment. Overgrown stuff, our kid there my buddy there, just overgrown. But then there is a sudden drop and a lane, because what we've found down here is really quite nice, and we'll go down there and we'll have a look. But our direction is through this field, through the next field, and then there'll be a clump of trees where there's Bainton railway station, and that's where we'll pick up shortly. But we'll go down here and we'll see this first. Here we are down on the bottom where we were looking down at the lane. It's quite a sharp bend here. But if you didn't know what this was, or if you didn't know there was a railway line here, you wouldn't have a clue what this was. But we've got an abutment. It is shown on maps and it is extremely narrow, probably a lot narrower than what it was now, and there'll be some foundations around there somewhere, but we can't see them. There's the face, main part of the bridge. As you can see, it goes quite wide there, so it will have gone round a bit more, but it's straightened out over the years. And there was a railway bridge here at one time. It just been for farmers' access, public footpath, because we are on a public footpath and bridleway. Sadly, that is all that remains. There would have been another one there, and then on to Bainton railway station. Now we've made it to Bainton railway station. We have no access to this property. I have tried. Unfortunately, we're not allowed to go in there. The people that do live there do want their privacy, so I would respect that people don't come here and start trying to gain access to this, because you won't get it. Now, Bainton railway station, I'll turn you around and I'll show you what I can actually see from the roadside. So Bainton railway station is on the Driffield to Selby railway line, and this was opened on May the 1st 1890, and it served the village of Bainton, which is probably about 1.5 miles down the road, somewhere like that. It closed on the 20th of September 1954 to passengers. You can sort of see through there the white bits of the station. That building there with the fancy gable end is part of the goods shed. It was opened by the Scarborough and Bridlington West Riding Railway Junction, and then run by North Eastern Railway. It became part of the London and North Eastern Railway during the grouping of 1923. I have got some old photographs of this railway station, so I will match them up and show you. Now there was a signal box, which was, I'll go show you that shortly, and that was 17 levers, and it also had a 2-ton crane at this site. So what we can see from the roadside is this building here. That is what was the goods shed. There was also a coal yard as well. And I'll go over to the next gate and I'll show you what I can see from there. But as we approach that gate, you can see those buildings in front of me. I'll move over a bit closer to them as well. Now it would have been nice to go inside. Unfortunately that ain't going to happen. But what I can tell you is, where that, just on the other side of there, that's where the signal box was. You can see that part there where that white door is, that's the remains of the original station, and then we've got that part of the roof there. But then there's an extension on the side as well. Now I can tell you, I can see the platform through there. If you want to pause it, you might be able to see that yourself. This side platform still exists, but the other side is gone. Now I'm going to nip over the road, over there. I've managed to cross the road. It's probably a bit windy now. The station there, this is the actual track bed here. And it crosses right here in front of me and goes down here. And then from here, if I move out there a little bit, it goes through those trees up to Bainton Crossing and then into Middle on the Wolds, which we'll go to in the next video. But these are station cottages at Bainton. Still standing, still very much lived in, and still very attractive. And I don't know what I can see from the other side. but we will try and see what we can see. Not a great deal, I imagine. And that is what we can see from this side. Again, private properties. I'm not going to go trespass and go get any photographs of those. We must respect people's privacy. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, please like, share and subscribe. On the next episode we're going to go from this railway station all the way down to Middleton on the Wolds and possibly a little bit further. So if you want to see that, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.